So this is a remarkable reality that you primarily remembered for the least of your accomplishments that whole time.
It's been my fate all my life.
But what I think of it differently. I think, especially those years, there were seeds planted, there were taproots sent deep into our public consciousness. Think of it even as a firmware upgrade in our expectations for our future in space. So with or without Star Trek, when we landed on the moon, we were feeling it from having been taking us up right to the doorstep of the moon.
God, Neil, I don't know what you've just said. It sounded fantastic. And those gestures, how dramatic.
What did you mean?
What did you say?
I think maybe we're talking about the zeitgeist. It was in the air, right?
Yeah.
You got a question?
No. So I would say that in whatever was that nadir in your life you spoke of, that was the word you used in the van, in the flatbed. I see that. I agree with you that in fact the soil was tilled for all future. Okay, I'll be less poetic, okay? You're poetic reading to the orchestra. You're poetic. Every sentence that came out of your mouth is
poetry. So it's just that I've got a sore arm and I can't make the, well, I can if I hold it. Yes, it was poetry. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
So I don't want you to undervalue the criticality of those years leading up to.
I haven't. I thought they were marvelous.
Yes. Because I'm old enough to remember when we landed on the moon, and there's a certain state of the world at the time where there was still the civil rights movement, there was campus unrest, a hot war in Southeast Asia, a cold war in.
That's incredible. You're like the New York Times.
Well, there's a lot of other very important problems in the world that was distracting people, but then there's this glorious adventure that you planted the seed, helped plant the seeds to engage. And
Neil Armstrong had a little bit to do with it.
And 10,000 scientists and engineers behind that.
That's right.
Indeed.
So you are making a point, yes?
Yeah, I think so. I thought I was.
What exactly is it?
I value, even though Star Trek was canceled in its third season, I value what role it played in the zeitgeist of the nation and the world.
Gotcha.
My sister rides horses, and she's the first to comment if you're on a horse in a movie and it's a different horse. She notices that.
Yeah.
So you also made note that you do 4 horses you made.
Well, the horse I rode. Well, that was one of the movies, wasn't it?
Yeah, you were 2 people in the movie.
The dark twins. The dark twin. And,
it was more than one movie where it's...
How was it there were so many movies and shows where you play yourself and another version of yourself?
But you know...
That's got to be a record.
No, wait. Apropos of that, what is the other part of yourself? What you present to the audience yourself, which is partially you and partially an act, right? A mask, right?
Sure.
So then now you're asked to play somebody else that's you, that's another part of you. Is that another mask, or is that part of the original? I mean, how do you play another person?
Well, you're an actor. I thought that's what you did. I'm a scientist.
You're a director. You directed actors. So you say, all right, this guy is the opposite of you. The actor says, well, what's the opposite of me?
well, this is why I make documentaries.
That's right. But then, even continuing that theme, in a documentary, and you're interviewing the person, Are they presenting who they are, or are they putting on another mask so they look good to your documentary?
Are they presenting a version of themselves that they would
It's
prefer
enhanced.
the public knows?
An enhanced version of it.
Well, you know, when we did, so this was obviously 3 days of interviews, right? And I think each interview session you came as a different person. The chapter on loneliness was like really dark. Like I was not expecting that from you, and completely like threw me off.
Huh?
Yeah, it was. I mean,
is that why you acted the way you did? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I think because you know the approach was thematic, right? So each chapter I sort of
Yes.
came in with a different theme in mind,
Yeah.
and so I think each theme kind of triggered something different in you, and so I felt in many ways that I was not talking to a different person, but I was triggering different sides.
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? I mean, we all have our different planes of attitude.
Yeah.
But it's us.
Yeah.
The composite is us, right? So you were looking for a composite.
Well, I mean, the whole idea obviously was like, you know, I mean, what fascinates me is that you started acting when you were 6, right?
Yeah.
So that's 87 years of acting career,
That's very good arithmetic.
right? That's, well, I have to, I have to be.
Right.
93 minus 6, that's pretty easy, right? Just saying. Just saying.
The older you get, the more difficult it is, I mean.
Okay.
So, I think this idea that you've been wearing so many masks over the years, the whole idea of the film is like taking off the masks.
So part of a gentleman by the name of Rob Chernow and I writing lyrics for songs that we wrote that are extant now out there and are going to be out there. We wrote a song called Masks, and how we all carry a different mask with us. For example, Neil, you're outspoken, you have this volume, you have this energy, and of course, highly intelligent. When you go home, do for us when you enter the door.
I say, honey, where's the remote? It depends on how intense the day was. But if I go into sort of public mode, my whole family shuts it down. They leave the room.
So,
They don't want any of that.
well, what is public mode?
Public is, I'm an educator, and if I sense that somebody doesn't know something and might want to know it, I go into educator mode.
So you emphasize it for the impact of what you want to know or what you want to get.
Well, there can be some presentational drama in that exercise, yes.
But do you think that other, when you come through the door,
Yeah.
person, and you say to the class, hello, I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I'd like to know why water boils. Can you get the same information without being Neil? It sounds like
Yeah, no, so clearly the presentation mode is different for a large audience than it would be for one-on-one.
Okay.
And also it would be different depending on their age.
But you know-
I'll use different references that an older person might know, and I would never use it for a younger person because they'd look at me like I was clueless.
No, but you have you obviously know it, a way of speaking publicly. And if I had my arm, I would repeat your gestures, which I can't. But you understand. Why is that more emphatic than, well, water boils unbelievably at 212 degrees, and let's find out why.
I don't know that it's different. I wouldn't say it's better. It's different.
Different.
Yeah, that one they got to lean in because you're about to explain the thermodynamics of heating water, and so they're going to lean in and try to get that answer. What I'm saying is, if depending on who asked it, my answer will be shaped to minimize any resistance between the words out of my mouth and the receptors in their brain.
Well, why are you anticipating resistance when they're there to understand why water boils, the thermodynamics of water at 212? I mean, is information imparted through a mask, or can you be yourself and impart information?
I'll tell you, I got an answer for that. You ready?
I asked you.
If I was a professor facing the chalkboard or whatever they're made of today, and just giving the answer, then you got to meet me where I am, and that's not being an educator, that's being professor. If I'm an educator and you're on the other side, I'm going to turn around and face you and find out how you best receive and absorb information, and I'm going to find the key to as many people as I can. That's how I'm going to evoke it. But that's not a mask, that's just being educated.
But by the same token, you can be in love with somebody and say, I love you. And you can be the same person who says, down with that inhuman being. I mean, do we act with our masks on? Or are we a creature of our mask?
Here you go.
Or are there the inner side of us?
I got you. Here you go. Ready? I used to dance in my day.
No
Back
kidding.
in the day.
Like what kind of dance?
One was sort of international Latin ballroom, and then
Neil.
some ballet,
Neil.
some.
Neil. Show us what you do.
The phrase it was in my day, okay? But
Wait a minute, you can't admit your day is gone.
yeah, I can do that.
But you're not right, your day is not gone.
No.
In fact, you're just arriving at your day.
Are you still TJ Hooker?
Well, yes, I am.
All I'm saying is, I'm saying something simple.
No, it's not.
No, if I'm in front of I can stand behind a podium, or because what does a dancer do? They use their limbs, their bodies,
Show us.
to communicate. Okay?
Your turnout is wonderful.
Thank you. Every part of how they can express an idea, a thought, and an emotion comes through, and any good actor knows this, through their face, their lips, their body gestures. And I dance before, so I use my entire body to communicate. If it's just words, that feels so mute compared with...
not to an actor.
Not to a good actor.
Words are the basic means of communication, and you need do nothing else but be a guru. Hello. The meaning of life is a fountain.
But we'll think that one through in a minute. But
That's part of an old joke where the guy climbs up and through the mountain and gets to the guru, and he says, the guru, what's the meaning of life? The guru's looking at the fountain and says, my boy, after all the trouble you've been through, let me tell you the meaning of life. The meaning of life is it's a fountain. And the guy says, I went through the jungle and up the cliffs and down and I hurt myself and I got broken my leg and to find out the meaning of life. And you tell me life is a fountain? And the guru looks up and says, you mean life isn't a fountain?
okay, so in that vein, Mr. Shatner, in that vein, maybe others knew this well, but this film was not about you, the actor. It was about how every bit of your life has come together to thread a tapestry of wisdom and insight into life and interactions with each other and your relationship to Earth. So you, in this film, went from Captain Kirk to Bill the philosopher. And what do you do?
Well, first, I don't dance. Sal asked me to.
You don't dance?
I don't dance. What's the question?
The question is, can a person be what themselves are through the various masks?
You still hung up on the mask? I thought we hung
No.
I thought so too.
The mask,
I thought you were onto you,
What's a
philosopher.
different aspect of your personality? Don't be so literal. The mask is, hello, I'm glad to see you.
Okay, no,
Do you
I
believe that guy?
wait, let me deliteralize this.
Yeah.
These chapters of this film are not different masks. They're aspects of what is genuinely you.
That's what I'm
If
at.
it was a mask, you take it off and it's sitting over there and it is no longer you. These are elements of you which came together brilliantly. So that I don't think of you as Captain Kirk anymore. I think of you as this man has done some living and has reflected on the meaning of life in ways that we can all benefit. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, I'm certainly not going to fight that. I want to know you, Alex. Tell us what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, I to me, the goal was to somehow get to that kind of, distillation of who you are and what really means the most to you at this point in time, and what you want to communicate to all of us.
So my question is, can you ever really get to who you really are? Does anybody?
No.
When there's this phrase, you got to get to know yourself. Can anybody really get to know themselves?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Not completely.
Well, I mean, do you tell yourself the truth about how you really feel?
I mean, I think it's.
See,
I
that's what
try
I mean.
sometimes.
I
No,
believe,
but you should be able to truly answer the two of you. And let me stay out of this because you've seen enough of me. Can you truly ever be like the phrase "getting to know yourself"? Can you ever really get to know yourself?
I don't think so. I mean, I think.
So let's rephrase that.
No, we should do it that way.
We should live life in such a way so that we continue to know ourselves better. Whether or not we actually...
That's not your...
No,
You're not getting the point. Can you ever really know yourself? Can you ever really know yourself? Know thyself is a Greek thing, aphorism.
Well, how can we know ourselves if we don't really know much about the universe, in a way, right?
Well, what has that got to do with yourself?
We're a part of it, though, right?
Well, I know, but you don't know why the stars collide. But you
Yes, we
know
do, actually.
It was worth the laugh. No, seriously, guys. Can you ever really get to know yourself? Really, empathically know yourself?
I think you can have a pretty good sense of yourself, but I think that's about.
I'd like to add to this that if you remain curious your whole life, as you have appealed people to do in this film, then who you are and your perspective on the world continually evolves. So you can.
My point, exactly, you're evolving.
At any moment you declare you know yourself, well, that kind of closes shop, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean,
So we agree.
no, we don't.
Just, I'm going to pause here. Did you guys get the QR code here? If you don't know what that is, ask the person half your age next to you. Okay.
What was that?
So Bill.
Did you see somebody walk by?
Yeah, I got this. Questions
What?
from the audience.
Oh,
They were QR coded in from this huge.
we can't see it.
You could turn your head around.
No, I
What happened?
92 and arthritis, you know what I mean?
Now you're complaining you're old. About 10 minutes ago when you
No, well, I'm older now.
Okay. But just before I get here, this arm injury, you fell off a horse?
Well, I did fall off a horse more than once, but I've got a frozen shoulder.
Oh.
And my life is a series of interesting coincidences. So while the film was playing, we sat around in a circle and talked with some of the people who wanted to talk. And the gentleman who sat beside me was a doctor. And I said, I've got a frozen shoulder. He said, well, we could make big advances in cold shoulder and shoulders that are a frozen shoulder. I said, can you help me? He said, I can help you. So I'm sitting beside a guy who might be able to help me get out of this frozen shoulder. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So our lives are a series of coincidences.
Yes, they are.
One of the most valuable coincidences of my life is meeting you.
Oh, well, thank you.
That was said to warm you up.
Okay. Here we go. I love this one. Ben H., wherever Ben H. is out there, if you couldn't have been an actor, what do you think you would have been in life?
I don't know.
Might you have played football? Was that a football photo of?
Well, I
Some athletic team.
I wasn't big enough to play football, fast enough, or strong enough, or had the brains. Otherwise, I would have been a great footballer. I don't know. Teacher, adventurer, maybe.
Would you have been a comedian?
Or it could have been. No.
You had deep insights.
I would
Being
love.
funny.
I would love to do documentaries, and I have done, and film documentaries. The exploration of the truth.
Yes.
Is a fascinating.
What was the name of your show? The Truth Is Out There or something?
I don't understand.
Unexplained.
The Unexplained is
yeah.
out there now.
Yeah.
But I had a talk show called The I Don't Understand, Everything I Don't Understand,
No.
which is everything. Like I don't understand.
No, I think I was on it. That's the show I was on. You came to me to ask me stuff that you didn't understand.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun.
And you explained it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I forgot.
But I did it with full body gestures.
You did.
Yeah, okay. So did you give me an answer or not?
Probably. Yes.
Okay,
I would have been a documentary maker.
Here's one. Lori Usher in the audience. Oh, excuse me. Okay.
You
It
just
says
bring,
Usher here, but I trust you.
you just bring your glasses.
No, I'm reading this correctly.
No.
I also did bring my glasses. You're a great accumulator of wisdom, which clearly this film demonstrates. What do you wish you might have known earlier in life rather than later?
What I've learned is what everybody who gets older learns. It's over so quickly. Like what happened? I'm out of the moon, and everything, okay, I'm like that girl, okay, I've got children, and now I'm gonna die.
The four stages.
Seven ages of,
Yeah, 4 stages of life there, yeah.
well, there's 4 and then there's 7.
You only mentioned 4, I think. I counted.
I'm abbreviating it because we gotta get on with it.
All right, someone is a cheap one here, but we'll do it anyway. Tracy Benassis, can you say Danny Crane the way you would on Boston?
All right, so people come up to me and says, yeah, say Danny Crane. No, I'm not gonna say Danny Crane. But for the audience, I will. And I'll explain what I was doing. So David E. Kelly was the producer-writer of Boston Legal. And he wrote just about every script. He's a genius. So one day, I'm reading the script, and he has the characters say Danny Crane 4 or 5 times. Well, an actor reads it. Danny Crane, Danny Crane, Danny Crane, Danny Crane, Danny Crane. What do you do with that? How do I act that? What was? And then I had a recollection of a lizard.
Yeah, you described that in the film.
Okay, so the lizard,
That's brilliant.
The lizard sticks its tongue out.
Brilliant.
And senses what's up there. What's up there? What's the So if I say Danny Crane, Danny Crane,
You're taking the temperature of the room.
I'm reading of the room. When I say my name, Danny Crane. Danny Crane. Okay? So
that's good.
that's good.
Yeah. So maybe the serpent in the tree in the Bible was just trying to check on what the Garden of Eden was about.
He had an apple in his mouth.
All right. So we got Carrie McGann out there in the audience. Your body of work is beyond impressive.
I know, isn't it?
What kind of role might you have done, but the opportunity never came your way?
Well, I would love to have worked with some of the auteur directors. And I would love to have, when I was younger, pitted myself into the great roles, which I did at one time in one form or another, play, but never. Tyrone Guthrie, he lent his name to the Guthrie thing, and wherever that theater is. He was a great English director, and I worked with him for 3 years, and in fact won an award, had his name attached to it. And he would have been a great director for some of the classics that I could have played. Not now, but I could have played.
You mean Shakespeare when you say classics?
Yeah, Shakespeare. Well, yes, but classics, the translated. But I never did. I played classics, but never the leading role under a guy whose mentality I respected.
I would declare that in 500 years, Star Trek will be remembered and the rest of those stories will have been forgotten. And in fact, retrospectively, you would have fulfilled your dream of playing the lead in a classic.
I appreciate it.
No one ever identifies the classic in the moment. It's just something else that people are doing. When it survives the test of time, the classic, the stock in its classics value goes up.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yes.
I think The Intruder, the Roger Corman film, for me is a classic. It's a criminally underseen film. It's one of your finest performances. It's absolutely brilliant. The Intruder.
But the psychology of that film, which is from a novel, was a guy in New York, young guy in New York, decides to go down south and be a rabble-rouser and has the town's riot. The film was made when the schools were being integrated. Thank you. And this total stranger who had no connection with for or against integration came out of New York City and started rabble-rousing and caused riots down south during that turmoil period of time. What in heaven's name was he thinking? What was his psychology? And I tried to understand that.
By the way, to Southerners, if you're from the North, you're a Yankee. If you're from the Northeast, you're a damn Yankee. If you're from New York City, you're a goddamn Yankee. Just put that out there. All right, here we go. Ryan Kawahasha. What gives you hope? This assumes you, in fact, have this hope. What gives you hope for the next generation?
So that's such a good thought. A small group, Rob Chernow, Dan Miller, and I. Thank you, Rob.
And his parents too, were they?
Wrote a series of songs that.
Just to be clear, for everyone under 30,
No.
the album is a collection of songs published together.
Oh, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
I live in the past.
Yeah.
But the songs we wrote for a particular album some of the songs were about the world and its turmoil, is to put it mildly. One of the major songs that we're hoping to make into a music video is, we called it So Fragile, So Blue, and it's about how vulnerable our Earth is. It's what I came back with. I was up in space looking out the window into darkness, and I saw death. I've been fascinated by space and all its awe and mystery.
You think?
I think. And I didn't see it in that blackness I saw from the spaceship. When I looked down on Earth, I saw life. Beige, blue, white, everything. Life on this little rock with this 2-mile skin of usable air. And so we wrote
quantify that our atmosphere is to Earth what the skin of an apple is to an apple.
Right. I was thinking
Sense about it.
onion skin is so now. Everything is the amount of dirt, usable soil on this rocky thing we're on is the same way. It's an onion skin. And I saw how vulnerable and how extinction is happening to things. We're watching things go extinct that we didn't know existed.
Yeah.
So how sad is that?
The question was, what hope do you have?
Well,
Right there, right? What gives you hope?
hold on.
For the next generation?
Hold on.
You're bumming us out.
No, I wouldn't laugh at that because I saw how vulnerable we were, and I came back filled with grief for the Earth. But I've been asked, would I go up again? And I've said no, because it's like, trying to have another love affair or whatever. But now I realize if I go up there again, what I will do is I will come back armed with the knowledge of how hard so many of us are trying to make things right. Scientists gathering, huge universities trying to get the carbon dioxide, the methane, the pollutants, the plastics in the ocean, how hard we're now trying to make amends. And I would come back with a note of hope.
Sounds like he just wants to go back into space again. This is a cheap question.
You'll get a cheap answer.
Okay. This is from Alan. Is there anything that
You notice he doesn't give us what kind of question will this be?
Yeah.
We're going to ham on every word.
But is there, I'll be more dramatic, is there
You can't be.
anything that you are not usually asked that you want to share with us?
What's your telephone number? No, I mean, what, do I scratch my behind? Yes, I do.
Stop that was a suitable answer to this question. Bill Shatner.
Do you want to scratch my behind?
We have just a couple more minutes. I think what we learned this evening is if you lead a life that is eternally curious, no more curious than a child is when you think about it. We're just talking about childhood curiosity carried into adulthood. That leads to a life of learning, and with every new thing learned, there's another possible way you can connect ideas and thoughts and understanding.
I agree, and that's why I love to talk to you. You're so filled with not only the curiosity, but you've got so many of the information, you've got so many of the answers.
Yeah, thank you. But I'm saying it's hard to grow your wisdom if you stop learning about the world. And this was evidence that, especially going into space at age 90,
Whatever it was.
Alexander. Yes.
Talk to us.
What do you want to know?
Something wise.
Oh gosh.
Give us a closing statement.
Oh my gosh. I will just say that it's been really a privilege for me to work on this film with you and to be able to get so much wisdom you know, from you. But also,
But did you have a perspective on this as a European, different from what we would have had as here in the United
Well, you know,
States?
it's weird.
Sometimes we take things for granted here, but someone exterior to the
Yeah.
dome would say, "Oh my gosh, look at that national treasure! I have to do something with it."
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's well. First of all, like growing up in Switzerland, you know, just watching, you know, Star Trek or a lot of Hollywood movies, you know, it's always been a little bit surreal for me to just come here, become an American, and then get to make movies about those films, get to meet you, get to sort of, you know, pick your brain, as it were. But I mean, for me, it's not even really about that. I think in this day and age where there's so much sort of, you know, polarization, so much vitriol, the messages that you have, I mean, and what you were talking about is the philosophy of Bill Shatner is so important. It's so simple and relatable, and I just wish, you know, just the idea of like doing something worthwhile, right, with your life. And it's caring about the planet is one thing, but caring about each other. Like we're here for a very short time, so we should really be trying to make this time really nice for everybody. And so I just want this message in this film to go out there and to really touch people, because you have the ability to do that.
It's the opposite of tribalism. Everybody sees this and they feel unified.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Just one other point I want to make. You, after a while there, you became your own best caricature. So no one could imitate you better than you. So you owned your identity in this world. Not many people get to say that.
Really? That's interesting. I am.
No, people imitate you with your sort of pause, acting, phrasings, and no one does that better than you. I don't need to hear them, but you.
I think you're doing me an exaggeration.
I want to give you the final word, and I'll lead up to my final word here. Of all the captains, you are my favorite. And I'm not just saying that. And I love you Picard and Captain Janeway. But what I liked about you, because again I was young at the time, I said, you got into fights with the aliens. And if I'm supposed to serve you as captain, and you're fighting the aliens, I'm gonna fight the aliens too. But if you went in the back and told us to go out and fight the aliens, I said, what kind of captain is that? No. So you were there when it mattered. You were seat of the pants, make a decision, forget the logic of Spock. Almost everyone here knows that Captain Kirk always beat Spock at chess, because Spock could only make rational decisions, and Captain Kirk had the capacity to be irrational on a level to defeat logic. And these were properties. I said, if I'm a captain, that's the kind of captain I want to be.
I want to say thank you to Alexander O. Philippe.
What's the O for?
Olivier.
Oh, yes, Olivier. He put an accent in that, didn't he?
I would also like to thank you and your brilliance, the brain of yours, which is throbbing to expose itself at every You are remarkable.
Never quite put that way.
No, but I hope you'll remember you are a remarkable man, and I'm so glad to know you, and I look forward to getting to know you better in the future. And I want to thank all of you for being here, for coming to see this film. I am essentially a happy